Hi, this is Asa, and welcome to my audio experience. It's a new prescription for a new you America. What are you struggling with? Diabetes, heart disease, arthritis, fibromyalgia? Well, realize this. If the body can get sick, it can also get well. You can lifestyle your way into getting sick. You can lifestyle your way out and get well. We talk about that. You know that. We talk about it on this show all the time. And it's so important to get that, because if you can change, if your mind can change, if you can go from where you are in your mind to where you need to be, then you can get there. I talk about it in my book all the time. It's called the be, do, have principle. You be, meaning in your mind, you think where you want to be, where you want to go with your health, where do you want to go in life for that matter. But let's talk about your health for just a moment. Think about where you want to go. So you be there. You're already there. And then you do it. You live the life. You take the action steps. You start eating better. You start living better. You start exercising. You start doing the kind of things, having the kind of attitude, living the kind of life, drinking more water, getting proper rest, following all the basic lifestyle choices that we talk about, and then you'll have it. So often we just wait before we think if it comes our way in life, if it comes down the pipe, well, maybe I'll be lucky. There is no luck. Knowing that you want to get well, or that you want to lose 30 pounds, or that you're determined that your cholesterol is going to go down, or that you're not going to have a negative attitude anymore, or you've lost so much and you've gone through so much that you need to get to a place within yourself and within your life that you can overcome, and that you're not going to be just a product of your environment, that you're going to overcome, that you're not going to be stuck because of the choices you've made over the last 5 years, and that determines the kind of health you have now, that you can make a change. Because the body can change. Because each day old cells are dying out, new cells are forming. And that if you make those changes every single day in your mind, if you make that shift in your mind, then things can change with you. But you have to be willing. You have to want it. That's why I always say, do you want to get well? I mean, there's genetics, absolutely. There are all kinds of factors that play in to people getting sick, to their body breaking down, stress levels and life happening, and so many factors can play into that role. But you don't have to be stuck where you are. And if no one's told you that, I'm here tonight to tell you that. Here to tell you that you don't have to be stuck anymore, that you can make some changes. And if genetics allow it, meaning the 25 to 30% of your health challenges, your environmental factors, and then, of course, the environmental toxins and whatnot, and the nutritional deficiencies, the things you can control, start controlling them. Start making a difference. Stop falling into your environment, because it's time for a new day. And really, when it comes to your health, there's so much that we can control and so many things that we can do, but we have to be willing to do that. And we have to be willing to do the things today others won't do, so we can have the things tomorrow others won't have. And you can do it. That's the amazing thing. That's the cool thing. 888-283-7272. If you've got questions about your health, we want to talk about you, about your health, and about your life. And we're going to talk about green tea. And I love it because the benefits of green tea, although I drink green tea all the time, and the benefits of it are amazing. But when you take green tea and it gets into a concentrated form, and it's a higher concentrated form with all the polyphenols and the ECCGs and the different components within it, that makes it so good for our health. Incredible. I mean, it's got all kinds of benefits. Is the ability for it to impact weight loss and to block cortisol levels. Cortisol is a stress hormone in the body, and green tea actually can block those cortisol levels, causing you to drop abdominal fat, belly fat. Questions about your health, we're going to Roy. Hi, Roy. Welcome to the show, my man. How can I help?
Thanks. Actually, I got a couple questions and a little bit of a testimonial. 42 years old. Been blessed to have fantastic health all my life. At the urging of my wife, a couple weeks ago, went and had a physical at the doctor. They took blood. The blood work come back. My blood sugar was really high to the point where he said, you're type 2 diabetic. You're the early stages of it. And just in the dietary change that I've had over 2 weeks, the last 3 days, my blood sugar level has been under 140.
That's amazing.
Taking it 4 times a day with the glucose meter. The doctor even prescribed me glucophage. It's something that starts with an M, but on the bottle it says like glucophage. And I opted to not take it on my own because I work for UPS. I drive one of the brown trucks, and one of the symptoms of this medicine, or one of the side effects, was nausea and diarrhea. And driving a brown package car is not a place that you want to have to worry about diarrhea. So I thought, I'm just being honest. And so I thought, my eating is not the greatest in the world, so I'm going to change some things. And I watched as I took my blood sugar test 2 hours after every meal, once in the morning, once before I go to bed. I watched my blood sugar levels go from 342 down to the 200s, down into the high 100s, down to the mid 100s. And now, like today, it was 119, 122, 119, and 131.
That's amazing. And see, that's the power of changing your lifestyle. It's amazing when you change your lifestyle. You see so many different changes when you make that shift within yourself, and you can simply, just by changing the foods you're eating every single day, when you have a made-up mind. See, when you got diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, it changed something inside of you. Yeah,
I decided that when the doctor told me that, the first thing I asked him out of my mouth was, do I have to take shots? He said, no, it's not. It's nowhere near there, but if we don't start doing something now, you're going to have to. And, I know what I've known people that didn't deal with diabetes the way they should. And I have a 5-year-old and 12-year-old child. And, if the powers that be want it to be that way, I would love to be able to be around for my grandchildren. So I knew that now is the time to take action. My other question, or the two questions I have is, one is, he also said my testosterone levels were low. My hormones was fine. My cholesterol was great. The bad cholesterol was good. The good cholesterol was good. And he said something about testosterone therapy, where I'd take a shot for 4 weeks, 1 shot a week for 4 weeks, and then taking the distance and spread it out to 1 shot every 3 or 4 weeks from that point on.
Yeah, let me talk to you about that, because with cholesterol and all of that, you want to focus on your diet. Matter of fact, in my book, Empowering Your Health, I talk a lot about diet. I talk a lot about reducing inflammation, stabilizing cholesterol levels, and a lot about hormones. A big key about hormones is that you don't want to take the exogenous hormones, meaning a patch or a shot. It's going to shut down your own natural production of testosterone. So a better way to go is to get your body to make its own. Get my book, Empowering Your Health. I talk a lot about how to rebuild testosterone levels using things like diet, tribulus terrestris, and also maca root. There's a lot, especially weight training has been proven to raise testosterone levels much better than the shot will.
If you're looking for increased strength, increased endurance, and better recovery, then look no further than an all-natural nutritional supplement called creatine hydrochloride. Concrete is the brand, and it's the most absorbable form of creatine hydrochloride found today. Now, creatine is not just for athletes. You probably heard that before, but creatine hydrochloride is for the everyday person looking to improve their health. Listen, I started taking creatine in college when I was a strength and conditioning coach at Florida State University, and I've taken it ever since my college years, and it's made a massive difference in my life. Everything in my body, I believe, is functioning better because of creatine. Creatine hydrochloride I've moved over to using Concrete, and it is the best form of creatine on the market. Concrete creatine hydrochloride is available at most Walmart stores and on Walmart.com or any store that carries nutritional supplements. Just make sure to look for Concrete brand creatine hydrochloride and watch your endurance, your strength, and your recovery and your immune system get boosted today.
To find out more, connect with On Call Radio online at InShapeNetwork.com.
You're listening to the best in healthy talk radio, the show where your health really is your greatest wealth. Going into the break, talking with Robert. Robert's dealing with type 2 diabetes, but also he's having some challenges with the bowel movements. It'll do regular bowel movement, I'm assuming there, Robert, and then it'll go into diarrhea, and it kind of fluctuates some throughout the day. Is that right? Or every other day?
Yeah.
Okay, and it's been going on for how long?
Probably 3 years.
Did anything happen 3 years ago? Any kind of stress or major stressor in your life?
No, not really.
Just started having these bowel changes?
I use a diabetes clinic, and they simply hadn't been able to find out what's causing it. I've got my blood sugar pretty much under control, but still having this problem with the diarrhea.
What medicine are you using?
Novolog.
Okay.
Novolog and Neurontin.
Neurontin. Yeah, it's okay. All right. How long have you been taking the Neurontin?
Probably a year and a half.
Okay. Do you have? And you said this has been going on for about 3 years, right? As far as the bowel changes. So you've been to the doctors then over the last 3 years, and no one really seems to be able to tell you what's going on, right?
Right.
Okay. Have they given you any medicine to try to help, and it just didn't help?
Well, we tried some Imodin, but it's not like it's a time thing where you would know when to take the Imodin. So they talked about it was an overflow problem, so they wanted me to have a bowel movement every day. Well, I've never had a bowel movement every day. And it's just that they've done some GI series and different things, and there's nothing wrong with my intestines. They've tested my stool. They can't find, there's no blood, and they simply don't know what causes it.
Yeah, I understand. Well, here's a couple things that are really important to understand. Well, when your digestive tract is doing that, there's a couple things. The bacterial flora, which our body in our digestive tract has good bacteria and it can have bad bacteria. Well, the goal is to get rid of the bad and keep the good. But a lot of times that balance, that bacterial flora in the digestive tract and even in the colon, can get off. It can have too much of the bad and not enough of the good, and it can cause different issues like what you're experiencing. So some of the things you can do are little dietary changes, adding in probiotics. Now, you can get it from yogurt. Plain yogurt would be the best, obviously, no sugar. Goat's milk is better than cow's milk, so there's some different options. So foods can give it to you, but I'm a bigger fan when it comes down to probiotics, putting that good bacteria back in your digestive tract, of taking the probiotics themselves in a pill form, more in a supplement form. Okay, it's just a lot easier, more potent, and it's been extracted. So, you're getting just the strongest quality of those probiotics that can be very helpful to your overall health. So, something to encourage you to do. You can go to your local health food store. You can find those. There's a lot of ways to get them, but it's really, really important to look into those because it'll radically change your gut health. It just will. And many people, when they start using the probiotics, notice a big change. And if you want, when you go to your doctor next time, talk to them about that. They're really, a lot of the primary care physicians now are pushing probiotics along with vitamin D, which I think is really, really good. And I'm encouraged by that. Vitamin D is another one. Get a blood test done with your primary care physician, and they can check and see what your vitamin D levels are. And then, of course, handle things appropriately. So it's something to look into. I always want to get that blood test for all nutritional deficiencies about every 6 months. Just a good way to go, smart way to go. Now let's get down to kind of some nitty-gritty of what to do when you're having fluctuating bowel movements, one that's solid and one that's more liquid or diarrhea. Along with the good bacterial flora, eating the wrong kind of foods, and especially eating foods that contain gluten in them. Gluten is a protein that's found in grains. So when I say grains, think about food products that are made out of bread, pasta, cereal, crackers, any of that sort of thing. So if it has flour in it, probably has gluten in it, unless it says it's gluten-free. And you want to steer clear of that for about 7.5 weeks. It takes about that long you can do 8 weeks, but it takes 7.5 weeks for gluten to come out of the system. And you'll know, within about 2 or 3 weeks, if you notice a difference within your bowels and how things are going, the probiotics are going to be helpful. But if you notice that, it's a big part of what you're eating, and probably has to do with gluten, because a lot of people struggle with that. They do. They don't have celiac disease, which celiac disease is where when you eat something with gluten in it, it makes you almost deathly ill. However, a lot of people are just sensitive to gluten, and that's even more so because they have chronic fatigue. They have a lot of these different symptoms that people are struggling with, fibromyalgia. A lot of those triggers can come from. So it's good to have it checked out. It's good to just, as far as having that goes, just to get that looked at. So anyway, several things to help. Your diet's going to be a key. And if you want help with that, in my book, Empowering Your Health, there's a whole plan in there called the anti-inflammatory diet. It's a chapter in the book, but it talks a lot about the things that you should eat, the things you should stay away from, foods to enjoy, foods to avoid, all that kind of deal. And it will really be a blessing to you, and I think it'll be a great help to you. Cutting out the grains, bread, pasta, cereal, crackers, and you might want to consider cutting out cow's milk dairy too. Cow's milk dairy, because of the casein protein, very hard for people to digest. And it can cause a lot of food sensitivities, food allergies, which can kick into some of the symptoms that you're experiencing. So just something to look into. It really is. The gut, everything spawns from the gut. Your gut is healthy, you are healthy. Gut is not healthy, you're not healthy, because it plays such a big role. We're only as good and only as healthy as the foods we can digest, absorb, and assimilate and turn into new, good, healthy cells. And there's no way to do that when you've got a digestive tract that is not absorbing all your nutrients, obviously. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. You can't build a good health platform on that. So looking into your diet, getting some blood work done from a nutritional perspective, and looking into the probiotics. In my book, there's called a super cleanse as well, and you look into it. All right, thanks so much for the call. We're always here for you. 888-283-7272.
Are you ready to chow? It's time for Keto Chow. When it comes to eating healthy, the keto diet has become one of the nutrition leaders in optimizing health, losing unwanted weight, and reaching your health and wellness goals. No extravagant cooking, no long kitchen cleanup, and most importantly, especially for me, it's convenient. Just put quality Keto Chow powder in a bottle, add some heavy whipping cream or your favorite fat, a little water, and boom, shake it up and you're ready to chow. Keto Chow tastes amazing. So make Keto Chow easy for you and your family today with Keto Chow. Let's go chow. Visit Keto Chow online at ketochow.xyz. That's ketochow.xyz.
To find out more, visit the show online, InShapeNetwork.com.
Than Canada. Check this out. American adults have significantly higher rate of obesity than our neighbors in the north. The new study says about 24% of Canadians are obese compared to about 34% of Americans, according to the new study by the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention released Wednesday. Researchers looked at height and weight data taken in surveys in both countries during 2007 to 2009, and the two countries have different racial demographics. The United States has more black and Hispanics, and both have higher rates of obesity. But even looking solely at white people, in the article, the way they put it, it says there's still a big difference. A 26% obesity rate in Canada compared to 33% in the United States for Caucasian. It's not clear why that is, said study co-author Cynthia Ogden, an epidemiologist with the CDC's National Center for Health Statistics. Well, it is what it is. Portion sizes, our food, the quality of food, lack of exercise. I mean, the list goes on and on about why we are what we are. And something has to change. It does. Because the obesity rates, being overweight, all of this is contributing to so much of disease in our country. Health challenges galore are coming from our lifestyle choices. And the amazing thing about it, to me anyway, is that no one forces us to be fat. We can call it overweight and obese. That's just a sweet little way of saying we're fat as a nation. And we are. And we make wrong choices. We don't eat the right kind of things. We don't exercise. We have abandoned basically our lifestyle as a kid. And granted, genetics play a role, and you don't have the metabolism when you were little. But, we were younger. Parents, for the most part, we had us eating fairly well. You get snacks here and there. And then, of course, you're running around outside playing all day. So you're getting all kinds of activity. If we could ever get back to that, it would make such a difference with our health and with our overall, the quality of life. Because, the whole you use it, you lose it, or don't use it, you lose it. That whole adage is very true. And if we don't get into a place where we do start using our bodies in a healthy way, as far as being active and even running, we lose the ability to be mobile. It's amazing how much the body can change if we don't use it and don't challenge it on a regular basis. So something to consider with your overall health. It really is, because so much can change with the body, with our health. And looking at it, making sure that you make the right decisions and knowing what to do to get well, stay well, and live well, it all comes down to our lifestyle choices. So it's something that you just really have to look at. And in making those decisions and making those choices are so, so important when it comes to kind of just getting to a good place. Because the reality is, within the body, we can make choices. We can make good ones, we can make bad ones. And the choices we make today will determine the health we're going to have tomorrow. The amazing thing is that our body changes and we get a brand new body about every year. So if we can make the right kind of choices, then we can see some radical changes within our bodies. And that's what it's all about. 888-283-7272. Let's go to James now. Hi, James.
Hey.
Living well, man.
Hey, you know much about macrobiotic diets, with the yin and the yang? And that's what I was interested in. I'd been introduced to it years ago, and it helped me a lot. But now I'm getting, in my 40s, I've got health issues. But the situation I'm in right now, I'm really limited. There's really no health food store that's good near here. There's a small one. It's got a few things, and it doesn't have none of the stuff I was used to down in the Atlanta metro area. You know what I'm saying? I'm stuck up in North Georgia right now. But anyway,
okay.
There's the small aspect of it, and then there's the big aspect. The small aspect of it, I'd like to know, until I can get access to more macrobiotic diet, and get that straightened out, you know what I mean? I got problems with, heartburn and, mucus and all this stuff that I don't like. And you reminded me of it, the bread aspect with the cracked grains and all that earlier. The big aspect is the diabetes and the bipolar. I know that good diet's going to take care of my diabetes. I don't mean to talk too much. That's that racing thoughts and the mania with the bipolar, but
no, it's
anyway.
Okay. No worries on that. So you've been diagnosed with bipolar? Is that what you're telling me?
Oh yeah. Runs in the family. So does the diabetes. Will it help? Will the macrobiotic diet help with the bipolar? Any mental health?
Well,
that you know of?
The diet's going to work with any type of issue within the body, regardless. You got to have a good foundation, no matter what you've been diagnosed with. So that's
right.
You got to have that no matter what. So that's one thing you got to look into and make sure that you get managed. And the macrobiotic diet is okay. It's kind of old school. It's got some good principles to it. Don't get me wrong, and I'm not knocking it by any means. I think there are more balanced approaches out there that I'm a bigger fan of. Even in all the research I did for my book and just experience throughout the years, I can tell you that the body always wants to be in balance. So if you give the body what it needs to be in balance, to make the right choices, to get it to where it needs to be, meaning you're giving it plenty of lean quality proteins like chicken, fish, beef, or eggs, using low glycemic carbohydrates in the form of fruits and vegetables rather than using more of the higher glycemic index carbohydrates, potatoes, even especially things like white rice, pasta, bread. All of those kind of things will raise your blood sugar levels up and get you to a place where you're going to raise inflammation. You're going to increase the need for insulin. So there's a lot of things you can do to balance out that. But I would encourage you first to start working on dietary things. Go to your physician or to a doctor somewhere that does more nutritional blood testing where they're looking for the kind of the baseline root cause of any deficiencies that might be there, just to come up with a game plan that'll work with your primary care. And then, of course, they can find those little clues of why maybe your body's been breaking down or why you're not feeling the way you should. And they can actually test brain chemistry with blood work too. So there's a lot you can look into that I would encourage you to, because it's just not worth it. It's not worth, even though you've been diagnosed with something, you can't give up and just say it is what it is and keep taking medication. The medication is good for the short term, but there has to be a better option long term. Bipolar is one of those challenges that taking the medication is so important, but there are some things you can do just to kind of keep the body at I always say, like playing at a high level. And it's so important, because the whole thing with serotonin levels dropping, and with bipolar, managing your serotonin levels is just so important. So there's a lot of things you can do that. So here's the deal, though. Supplements, when you're dealing with depression, when you're taking medication, you got to be really careful. Like one supplement you can't take, or I would strongly discourage you, is 5-HTP, because 5-HTP plays a role in the serotonin pathway, and it can cause serotonin syndrome. It can cause a lot of issues when you take it in conjunction with an antidepressant. So just be careful with that. There are some supplements that are very beneficial, like vitamin B6 and niacinamide, which is a version of B3 that doesn't really flush. But foods that are really good, help with serotonin levels: mushrooms, fish, chicken, spinach, red meat, and turkey. Those are all very good, and it's something you might want to look into, do some research on. They're great for overall health. But the one thing is, don't get discouraged. That's the key. And not that I'm knocking the macrobiotic diet. I'm just saying get a balanced approach. Make sure that what you're doing is balanced so that it can give you the potential of you being balanced. Let me know how I can help. 888-283-7272. That's 888-283-7272. You're listening to the best in healthy talk radio. Let's go now to Eva. Hi, Eva.
I've been to the doctor, 3 different doctors in about the last couple of years, and none of them, it seems like that it's some excuse that for me to have to keep going back, that I can't control this. I don't have diabetes, but I've got what do you call it, borderline.
Okay, so you're pre-diabetic or borderline diabetes.
Yeah, they said it was borderline, and they said I was not, they didn't want to put me on any kind of medicine. But yet, and it's been 2 years now, 3 doctors, but they always have an excuse for me to come back, because every time that they give me a diet, it doesn't work. I still get the real bad shakes. I almost passed out a couple of times about 2 weeks apart. And I don't have, they said, as long as I didn't have tingling and numbness and all this stuff, which I don't. All I have is just it seemed like I start trembling real bad. They said to eat something sweet, eat a piece of candy, or drink some orange juice with a little bit of sugar in it. And each time it just don't do me any good. The diet that they give me, typed out, every time I go by that, it don't help. I mean, I'll be okay for 2 or 3 days, and then all of a sudden I'll get real weak and get real trembly. And I can eat some, they said eat graham crackers, maybe a couple of graham crackers, and that usually calms it down. But it's not, it's not doing what it should do for me not to be on medicine.
Right. And your doctors are telling you they don't really want you on medicine yet. Is that right?
Yeah, and I get very, very anxious when this trembling comes in. I get real, real anxious. It's
I'm sure you do. Yeah.
Very terrifying. I've never had anything like it in my life. I'm 64.
Well, let's do this. Let's go into this commercial break. You're 64 years young and dealing with diabetes, dealing with anxiety, really. And we're going to get into some of the conclusions of what to do with that when we come back. Hi, it's Asa. I'm giving you a copy of my best-selling book for free to help you in your health journey today. I'll pay for the book. All you do is just cover the small shipping and handling costs. Go to AsaRx.com and get your free book today.
Connect with On Call Radio and watch On Call TV at InShapeNetwork.com.
Eva, we were talking to you going into the break, dealing with type 2 diabetes, but also some anxiousness or anxiety, and really no one can put their finger on it, and nothing really seems to be helping. Is that right? And it seems to be getting a little bit on the worst.
Well, a lot of these doctors down here where I'm at is, a lot of people are going to them and they're telling them that one of them, they told she had cancer, and then she went to another doctor and he said she didn't. And so there's a lot of them that is doing it, I think, for the money. Mm-hmm. You know, they're in it for the money because, this lady, she knew she had lost all that weight and everything, and she was having a lot of pain when she breathed and stuff, and the second doctor told her that she had a small tumor on her lung, and she ended up, he told her she had a tumor on her lung, and the other doctor said she did not.
So it's just seems like one doctor's saying one thing and another's.
So we'll keep going back, and paying. Because see, I'm not on. I haven't turned 65 yet, to get on my Medicare.
Sure. And
so I'm having to pay doctors. And I remember when I made the appointment, and the girl, I kept telling her, I said, a friend of mine is diabetic. I said. She said before she got full-blown diabetes, I said she had the trembles and a couple of times almost fainted. And I said, I'm having the same symptoms. I said, I need to, get y'all to run a glucose test and everything. The girl that I'm talking about, a friend of mine, she had told me what to tell them, so they'd know what I was going through. And so I told them, I said, a friend of mine is diabetic, and I said, I'm having symptoms that she had when she was borderline like I am now. And they would tell me that, well, you've got to pay this for the doctor's visit, and we can't tell you how much it'll cost, before we do everything and this, that, and the other, because I would have had to got the money out of savings. And I didn't want to go to the doctor's office, without the right amount of money.
Sure, I understand.
Because then I would have had to leave the office and go to the bank, which I don't know if they would let me done or not. So anyway, they kind of seemed like they were just jumping around about, and so the ones I did finally go to, two, and, really three, because I went to one about a month ago. But anyway, through the 2 years, they were giving me these diets, a lot of vegetables, a lot of fruit. If you get trembles, you eat a couple of graham crackers or a piece of hard candy or all kinds of different things. And I told them, I said, when I started trembling, I would go and eat the piece of candy, but I would call them and tell them, I say, the diet that you've given me 6 months ago is not helping me, and I'm having really bad anxiety going along with it. It's like I've never experienced anything like it in my entire life, and I'm 64.
Well, there's several things that needs to happen. Right now, first and foremost, is getting what you put inside your body down, because with diabetes, it's extremely important not to eat the bulk of your foods in carbohydrates, because even the lower glycemic carbohydrates, which you're probably familiar with the glycemic index scale, certain foods, the lower the number they are on the scale, the less they affect your blood sugar. The higher the number, then the more they affect blood sugar. So I believe you can go to a website and look at every food. It's glycemicindex.com. I believe that's it. But yeah, there's a big stigma with eating the right food. So you've got to eat a protein and a fat with a carbohydrate, especially when you're dealing with diabetes, because the protein and the fat's going to negate any potential rise in blood sugar, and that's why it just plays such a big role. So your diet is a key, and following certain principles like that are in the anti-inflammatory diet, the one in my book, it's critical. It really is. That's going to lay the foundation for everything you do. We are what we eat, just like my grandma taught me. And putting the right kind of foods in the body is so critical. It's just so critical. And so that's something, first and foremost, your doctors and how they did things, how they build, the kind of tests they ran. I'm sure it may seem frustrating and that you don't understand, but realize that there's a method of why they do what they do. I've just got to stick up for them a little bit, because, some doctors in it for the money? Sure. But most doctors are in it because they really want to help people. and really want to serve them and help them get better and all of that. So got to believe that, that they had that in mind, that maybe they were doing all that their training was allowing them to do or what they knew, and they were just trying to help you out the best they knew how. Going back frequently to a doctor is no big deal, by the way. A lot of people think that's a big deal. It's not. Every 6 months should be standard. If you've got other issues going on that are pending, once a month is not a crazy amount of time to go. So it's something to think about. But the one thing I don't want you to do is get discouraged through it all. And it sounds like you're kind of heading there because you go one place and it just doesn't work out, and you visit this doctor and it doesn't work out, something going on. So just kind of working with a doctor to get the information you need, and then do some research on your own. Really study it, because with diabetes and anxiousness and whatnot, there's a lot that can be corrected. Your food's going to be your best medicine. The anxiety that you're dealing with usually has to do with GABA. GABA is a neurotransmitter. It's a brain chemical. And there's certain foods that you want to stay away from to support healthy GABA levels. And these foods to stay away from: peanuts, walnuts, hazelnuts, almonds, cheese, oatmeal, barley, wheat, rice, salmon, spinach, and beans. All those foods should be avoided if you want to manage good, healthy GABA levels. And L-theanine, L-taurine, valerian root are all good supplements you can check into your health food store and talk to the clerk there about how beneficial those supplements can be for raising GABA levels. So there's a lot you can do to get your body back in a good place. Diabetes type 2, I've got a lot about that in my book, Empowering Your Health. A lot of great supplements that can be helpful. The foods, getting a protein matched up with a healthy fat, then with your carbohydrate, that's going to be one of the best things to stabilize your blood sugar. And always eat a couple snacks in between your meals, maybe a handful of nuts. Very good. The fats are your friend. They're not going to be detrimental to your health. Puts another hour in the charts. I'd like to thank a producer, Jay Patrick. Go tell one person something you learned on this show, and together we can change the health of our friends, our families, and our communities.
Did you know you could listen to the AsaRx audio experience on Spotify and Pandora? For all the ways to watch and listen, check out our show page at asarx.com/experience.
Hi, it's Asa. I'm giving you a copy of my best-selling book for free to help you in your health journey today. I'll pay for the book. All you do is just cover the small shipping and handling costs. Go to asarx.com and get your free book today.
This episode is over, but check episode notes for links to products and services you've heard about on this episode. Thanks for listening and subscribing. Please share the AsaRx audio experience with others and stay in touch by giving us your comment or review.